Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Awaken, the sanctuary for your soul. I'm Rev Wendy Silvers, and it is a joy to be here with you. Every morning we meet Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific time. It is a joy. It is an opportunity and an invitation to set your day up for soulful success. Because what I've learned from a few turns around the sun is how I start my day sets my day. Now, yes, I can reset my day at any time so that I am in fit spiritual condition. Because what I've also learned is that when I'm not anchored in the stillness to start from that place, I'm going to get caught by all that's happening in the outer world. I don't know about you, but I am very sensitive and empathic and intuitive. So I can pick up energy. That's not mine, and I don't want to do that. So I was just having a conversation with one of the attendees in the Awaken Mystic Salon, and and we were speaking about some of the responses that people are getting and some of the things that are happening with people canceling each other because of differences, perceived differences. And the message that I'm receiving this morning as I was sitting with this before we got online was stand for what you want, not for what you don't want. The mind is the word that came to me is machine. And we are meaning making machines. I grew up in a home where one of my primary caregivers was extraordinarily judgmental and critical, mostly in the home, but very often and consistently judgmental and critical about what was happening in the outer world. Lots of judgment. And then it would come home and um, be worked on with me. So I know that judgment has been something that I have worked diligently on for letting go of. As somebody who is a psychic medium and intuitive, I pick up unspoken content, which can be a little tricky. But it's also about discernment. And I've really had to work with that because I believe that judgment and criticism emerge from a place of fear. It's fear-based. It's being threatened. Somebody feels threatened by somebody else. They think that they or their family is going to be hurt. And I would say, their trauma response is to judge because it repels. It keeps that which is scary at a distance from them. I'd love to hear what you think about that. In the moments when you've been judgmental and critical, can you wind back the tape to see what happened before that moment? Because I believe that our birthright is freedom. Freedom to think what we think. Freedom to love who we love. Freedom to make choices, not that hurt other people, but freedom to really search your heart for what you want to share in the heart, in the world. Who do you really feel you're here to be? Not what your parent tells you or school tells you or society tells you. Who are you here to be? And can you love deeply enough, and I mean yourself, so that you can love others, not maybe in the personal sense, but in the honoring that each and every person is an emanation of the divine. When we are able to do that, the opportunity for peace is at hand. If I'm in judgment and criticism and protection, I view other people as an enemy. And I create all these enemy images. That's where discernment comes in. During the holidays, Christmas was yesterday and the first night of Hanukkah, which I learned from somebody online. It had to do with loneliness, the message. Today, Kwanzaa begins. So we're in this season of light, this time of the year that is meant to remind us of the light that we are, to remember miracles, to remember principles by which to live. And I dare say that one of the principles in the sacred text was not let me judge my relatives, my neighbors, my people. It was about love. It was about love, to embody the Christ nature. Christ is a principle. It doesn't mean the person. Joshua, Yeshua, Jesus became the Christ, the highest level of potential that a person can be, that can embody in a human form. And I don't believe that he had judgment. He took umbrage, anger at injustice. But he was called the Prince of Peace. And he was a unifier, even though at that time in history, it was a small group that was behind him. And the larger body of people, the government, those that were other religious leaders, were very shaken up by this rabbi who was carrying a message that was very different than what they were holding. And they crucified him for that, because his message was a unifying message for people to know themselves, to love themselves, to honor a divine presence that is in everything, as everything, through everything, was them, which was very, very different than the message being given. And he was a message of what he stood for, not what he stood against, even though it was clear by his actions what he didn't believe, and even in some of the things that he said. So my question for you this morning, in this morning's Awaken, before we move into the meditation, is what are you standing for? Who at the very depth of your being do you want to be? First, it must be about being. Then you do, and then you have. So in your beingness, what are the qualities that are eternal that you wish to express into your family, your community, in the world? And it may not be that you're walking out there with a sign, but who you are thunders so loudly, you need not utter a word. Are you committed to being the highest and best you can be? Are you committed to being a place and space of love, of peace, of truth? Not opinion, truth that you can be. Do you bring joy? Do you bring division? Anger? So This is a reflective time of the year. It's a time to look back on all that's occurred in your life, all that you've created. It's a time to give thanks, a time to let go as you set the runway for the next year. So I wish you a day of peace. I wish you a day of love, of clarity, of knowing yourself so you can be yourself, the very depth of your being. And when you can be yourself, you can see who other people are. And I have a whole nother message about that. But my message to you today is stand for what you believe in at the depth of your being. Stand for what you believe. Don't stand against it. So we're going to move into meditation, and I'm going to invite you, if you have any questions about Awaken, just in the liner notes, you can contact me and I will share all that information. And I wish you a peace-filled, beautiful day, holiday, and beginning of next year. You are powerful beyond measure. You are a force for good in the world. So please go forth and spread that good. Peace and richest blessings.